another
Here we go.
episode of
Hi,
Diablo 4
Rosie.
Campfire
You're
Chat.
just in time
My
for the
name is Adam
campfire
Fletcher.
chat.
I am the Director of Community here for Diablo.
Let's go.
Of course, I'm joined by two very familiar faces here. Mr. Joe Shelley, Game Director of Diablo 4.
He's awake.
Mr. Joe Pipora, who is the Associate Game Director for Diablo 4. We have a quick stream, kind of.
Man, Joe Pipora really seems super hyped to be there, man.
Road here in the next couple weeks, which includes Abattoir Zir and Midwinter Blight. So lots to talk about. But what's kind of cool about this stream is that it is our final stream of the year, the final stream of 2023.
We're closing it out.
Wow. We're closing it out, and this is actually it's been a year now since we started these streams. We started with Diablo 4 developer updates on, was it mid-December last year, I believe. So we're hitting a 1-year anniversary now, and of course. On that day, we
1-year anniversary.
Gentlemen,
that's right.
Who joined us as well.
I'm not sure, Rosie.
Yeah, we have it's been a year. It's crazy.
We've all grown so much.
I know. We went from hand models to holding maps and things like that
Yeah, that was fun.
Campfire Chats, which we even brought to BlizzCon, which was actually really cool last month.
That was
and
fun.
of course, now we're here.
Somebody stole the little campfire.
But before we actually do jump into that, I know there is a very popular question within chat and a very popular question within the community that we want to address before we jump in, which is Diablo 4 bringing pay for power to the game?
Oh boy.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
No.
We've been very clear about this throughout, and I think very consistent about it, and that continues to be true. And that also applies to things like addressing stash, making sure that players have enough stash space to store things. We talked about this at BlizzCon. We talked about getting aspects out of your stash inventory.
Yo, do you think that they had this campfire chat planned ahead of time, or it's like an impromptu one to address this mostly?
Good. In terms of being able to store the
You're like, oh shit, they know about the survey.
And we have no plans to add
Scatter.
any pay for power to the game.
Yeah, it's been a very popular question this week, and of course, we've been seeing it a lot in chat, even as we were in our countdown, and we wanted to make sure we talked about it early with everyone to reassure people that, no, that is not the plan for Diablo 4, and players are still going to be able to enjoy it without the need of needing to pay for any type of power or anything like that. So, and there won't be any of that in there. So, great to hear, and I know that we have a lot to talk about today. The first thing we did want to mention, though, is actually Midwinter Blight, which is an event that is actually going to be coming up here on December 12th. It is our holiday event. It's actually our first holiday event. It's funny because people have asked us about, hey, what about Halloween? We kind of remind people that, like, Season of Blood is kind of Halloween-ish. It's very much focused in around
I
vampires.
guess.
Skeletons. I mean, it's got all the same stuff you expect to get from a
Did this man just say
Exactly,
skeletons?
Exactly. So
It has
Midwinter Blight coming
skeletons.
December 12th is our holiday event that we talked about and we announced at BlizzCon.
Yeah.
But we wanted to talk a little bit more about that today. Joe, can you give us a little bit more info? Joe P. Can you give
Yeah,
us a little
sure.
more
So
info?
yeah, Midwinter Blight. As I know that people got a chance to see some of the video stuff before, and like we talked about at BlizzCon, but Midwinter Blight is obviously our first true and proper holiday event. We're bringing to Sanctuary in Diablo 4. In it, we're going to be visiting the Fractured Peaks again, where a horrible storm has descended upon the people of
Purple Tide.
Has descended upon the people of the Fractured Peaks. We're going to be introduced to a new character named Gillian, who's a bard. Gillian is here trying to rouse the spirits of the people of Kyoto.
Bard, new class
trying to help them
confirmed,
work together to
guys.
push back against a new threat that's emerging from the hills and mountains nearby, coming down from the glacier and down from the mountainous peaks nearby.
So
I've been saying that though,
can I
Penny.
trust
I was
this
saying
guy,
that's
though?
probably
Because
why.
I don't have a good track record.
They
with
didn't want to
musicians.
have some
I
weird
think that
overlap,
anyone who plays
probably.
music in the Fractured Peaks is generally trustworthy.
Okay.
So I think that you're going to
He's
be.
looking a little sketch there.
I don't know. I
playing in front
trusted
of the
I trusted all those
I don't
folks in
think
the
that's.
vest.
I don't think that's fair to those of us who boast to have nice facial hair. I think that Gillian is a perfectly trustworthy person. So, with that in mind, so Gillian's there trying to rouse people together, and they're going to be sending the heroes of Sanctuary off into the Fractured Peaks to fight against this new threat, the Red Cloak Horror and his minions. We're out there kind of causing great mayhem. They're kind of erecting these disgusting snow sculptures out of discarded parts out throughout the environment. Yeah, here is a group of the Red Cloak Horror's minions just kind of like running around. They're very, very dangerous creatures. But they're also fun. They're kind of like they're having a good time with it. Like they're enjoying the season.
They look very similar to
basically causing a lot of mayhem,
things that I've fought before,
and pain for the people. So you get a chance to feel a little bit of that as you're going through the event. Here is our main boy, the Red Cloak Horror himself. This is going to be your opportunity to go and fight this boss. Will occasionally pop into the content. You'll get good rewards from him as you're kind of progressing through the event. And you will take all of these like trophies and things you're collecting from all of his minions, and kind of as you're engaging in various events and saving people in Sanctuary, able to bring these back to Kyovashad and be able to unlock some really cool cosmetics.
Awesome, yeah, and I know there's even a few like kind of exclusive things for beyond the cosmetics for this event, such as we have an elixir, for instance, that actually grants a little bit more experience.
Yeah. There's an elixir that grants 10% extra experience when you're drinking it. It also gives you other effects when you're active inside the Fractured Peaks, but you can also just use it for the XP if you want.
And I will note the XP actually does work even outside of Fractured Peaks, so it's like, hey, it's an extra bonus for players if they're looking to grab a little
more
bit of extra,
XP.
And then there is also for this event a new like offensive aspect.
Yeah, there's a new seasonal aspect you get to play with. It kind of like dovetails.
There's
with
a seasonal aspect
throughout the environment.
What?
So there's a lot of fun,
like
stuff
a Christmas aspect
throughout the season. And then again, a lot
do we get to see what it is
to collect?
Yeah, so it's a lot of cool stuff coming in Midwinter Blight.
And these, the things, some folks might be wondering if the things like the elixirs and the aspects persist after Midwinter Blight ends, and they do, right?
Yep. They do, yeah. They will persist after the event ends, but you'll only be able to collect them now during this period of time.
Exactly. So
right.
like stock up. There you go. Yeah. Stock up for the elixirs themselves, and of course, Midwinter Blight is on December 12th. So make sure.
Oh man, so we got to farm up the aspect during this little window
for players to actually jump in,
and then hope you don't run out of them when you go and imprint it.
But the next other big thing,
that's like 2 weeks away.
Exactly.
What's happening next week?
If the aspect is even good.
So we're actually going to go back to the week prior to December 12th, and on December 5th.
As you would naturally do. You naturally work out 2 weeks, then come back a week as you're talking through things. Yeah.
Organization. But yeah, we're actually going to move to December 5th, which will be the Abattoir of Zir. This is a new end game mode that we're actually adding to Diablo 4. It's for a limited time only. It's a seasonal event specifically that we announced at BlizzCon. And we are actually, for the first time on one of our streams, we're going to have a live run through of the Abattoir Zir, starring. You won't be able to see this wonderful man on camera, but he is mic'd up because we wanted to hear him struggle. That is Filthy Rich. He's actually a senior community manager on the community team here on Diablo. You may have recognized his name on our forums.
So we're gonna get to see like a playthrough of Abattoir. Okay.
Rich is amazing, and he is actually going to be showcasing a little bit of Abattoir Zir for us.
The sword.
Okay.
Right off
you can pet the dog in Diablo 4.
When we practiced this, the dog wasn't there.
In case it wasn't clear, that is still a feature that exists in the game.
Yeah.
Say hi, Rich.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody.
There we go.
Okay, there we go. There's a spin of friendship. Okay, so we are. Yeah.
He said hi to the dog.
We're doing it live.
You know.
This is fun.
Now, and when we say live, we're talking about this is a live, like he's playing for real right now.
Yes.
That is what I was referencing, but I wasn't clear. That's true.
But it is on a dev server,
Yep.
so we won't run into other players, and it is on a dev build, so there might be some debug text or
unless
other
the dev
stuff.
just happens to run it through, who's also on this.
Could
server,
happen,
but
yeah.
But
Yeah, you might see some weird stuff, folks. And if people,
I'm
honestly,
fearful we just sent out this megaphone to the team and also running over
All
the
right,
bridge.
well, anyway, this is the first time we've done something like that.
That's absolutely right. And if you complain about it, we just won't do it again. And wouldn't you rather just see really cool stuff? I bet you would. So let's
If you complain about it, we just won't do it
So
again.
Rich, what build are you going to be running here for us today?
Yeah, so on my side, I'm actually going to be running a popular build, the Ball Lightning build. I'm going to wait for Joe to kind of explain.
Really? You're going to be a ball lightning sork? Whoa!
But pretty familiar for those.
My mind is blown.
A lot of the end game material for Ball Lightning, specifically for this, I really focused around like survivability, mobility, with a sprinkle of DPS.
Hey, he's got a Shaco down. I
I
see that Shaco in the inventory, man.
It's low damage output capacity, absolutely. So Rich here. So let's say we're talking about the abattoirs here. I know we talked about this before, but for the uninitiated, it's gonna be a new.
He's got 9 billion gold.
Experience for players to engage with that really unlocks after you finish the season journey of season 2. So if you really want to go and start going through this content, you'll need to have done all the things in the season beforehand to be able to gain access to the very first Blood Forge sigil you're able to craft here at the Occultist. Now, once you've taken
the sigils look really cool.
This is going to open up a new dungeon space that's going to be more challenging than a tier 100 Nightmare dungeon. Now, there are 25 tiers of the abattoirs here for players to engage with, and each of these does get progressively much more challenging as you step up. Much more challenging than, say, going from like a tier, 75.
He has 10.6k armor.
Nightmare dungeon. Going from a tier 1 to a tier 2 to
life.
tier 3. These are really significant steps by comparison. So, and we want this because like we're giving like season 2's been a lot of fun. Like I'm having a lot of fun playing even my Firewall Sork right now. We want to make sure that there's a really good place for players to be able to bring all of this power they've been collecting.
Well, he still has 10.6k, which is still like.
Just, they get a really, really great combination of vampiric powers.
That's more than my Barb has.
To really show off and like really push hard into a type of content. That's the focus here.
Yeah, and we mentioned you mentioned just now.
I'm probably gonna have to take Tybalt's off of the Barb.
Requires that you've completed the season journey.
Yeah.
And use like
and so
defensive
the season journey,
legs.
the last step of the season journey requires you can skip two of the objectives, but there's still difficult objectives like kill Duriel, even if you skip like Echo of Lilith and the tier 90 Nightmare dungeon requirement. And that's not arbitrary. That's because characters who aren't able to do that really are not ready for Abattoir Azir. So I know there are a lot of folks who are level 100 out there who maybe haven't completed this yet. We've got this weekend coming up. So get your season journey finished.
Exactly, and if players still haven't completed it by this weekend or when Abattoir Azir actually hits, they can still complete it anytime when the seasonal event is actually going on and jump in.
I wonder if does each
got plans this weekend or
character
something
have
like
to
that and
complete
can't
at least
finish
like
it,
a
don't
tier
worry, it's
90
okay. You can
to
still
do
that,
Abattoir?
over the next couple
Or
weeks.
just as
This
long
is
as you've done it on
active
any character on
through
your account?
January, or the beginning of January itself.
Right.
So.
You still have time.
No, they're not
Still
doing
have
another
time.
XP
So,
event. Not that I'm aware
I know
of anyway.
Rich here has actually, as we were talking, spawned a level 1 Abattoir using the sigils himself right there. So I think this is a good opportunity for him to kind of jump in.
So Rich has done a little of this content on his character here already. So he's got a little bit of a preview of how it's going to play, how it's going to feel to play through. But I think it's going to be pretty fun. Let's see how he performs.
Yeah, and I think one thing that I did want to address on that I saw from chat is that character that I have is as close as I can be to being maxed out. Because this is trying to be as relatively close to what I've been practicing on, which has been the tier level 100 Nightmare dungeons. And I think there's a few things that I want to call
it's
out
a greater
as well.
rift. It's literally just greater
on the
rifts.
On the actual sigil itself, I think one difference here is that I'm not aware of what afflictions I'm going to encounter in this battle.
Oh yeah, you have no idea what the affixes
or getting
are.
as close to as capped I can, or things like my armor, my magic resist, my damage, and all those. Just really trying to be ready and prepared for any surprises.
Yeah, I know Rich is because you've played through Abattoir a little bit, you've built a little bit more survival on your Sork here, as opposed to completely glass cannon. He's a little bit more prepared than I think some other people would be. But I know with us showcasing here a level 1 Abattoir, kind of at least showcases a little bit. How would you guys compare?
I don't
this
know.
to,
I don't know
a
anything
Nightmare
about Ball
dungeon in
Lightning,
terms of,
so
tier, difficulty, or would it be similar to a Nightmare dungeon in terms of tier with a level 1?
Yeah, the level
looks
1
like he's doing just
Abattoir
fine
is,
now.
kind of close to what a level 104 might be. That's kind of where things start, and then things step up from there. Now, you'll see here right off the bat, there's some big differences, right? On the right-hand side, you see that there's a bar that's being filled. Abattoir of Zir runs are really races against time. So Rich here is really focused on killing creatures as fast as he can in an effort to kind of beat that timer.
Well, I imagine it's probably like elites are probably worth more.
Kind of rolling through this
so
thing.
literally,
you
you
down.
probably,
keep
as long
you
as you're able
killing
to,
as
you can
fast as
probably
you
just
to show
go
off your ability to kind of
and
like,
do like
survive
elite
these
hunting,
environments.
just to like
Now,
fill the bar.
As we step up, one thing we think is interesting about this is we actually taking one step back actually. Some of the things that Joe's talked about when we were at the at BlizzCon was our commitment to end game content and itemization rewards and things. The things we want to do to continue to make the game better. Abattoir of Zir is like it's designed explicitly to appeal to players who are at this stage of the gameplay experience, and we're going to be using it to kind of like think about and iterate upon more features.
I wonder if you can
like
get cursed shrines in an
Abattoir.
abattoir.
Seasonal event. It's a fun experience for season.
I'm assuming probably not because the mobs don't drop any loot.
Of how we want to kind of create similar content.
They don't drop gold. They don't drop loot.
Yeah, and I know with like we can see Rich. By the way, Rich has been so lucky with shrines every single time we watch him go through.
Yeah.
He like consistently gets artillery shrines, which I'm just gonna claim like.
That's why you got to use the staff, man. He has the staff in his inventory. He just chose not to use it.
I think,
I'm gonna be 100% honest with everyone here and those watching. I went super tanky because I think one of the nightmares that I would have is actually to die in the middle of a demo.
We'll make that happen. I promise. But I know with level 1, as you can see, Rich is like well ahead of time, so he's clearly geared out and ready for a level 1. But at the end of these abattoirs, we'll see here in a second.
You fight a boss, I'm assuming, right?
We do have a little bit of a kind of an end period for players, a little bit more of a challenge towards the end.
Yeah.
And it says lives remaining 0. You just don't get any like extra lives.
Powers in season 2, with Rich running Metamorphosis regularly. I mean, he's basically got like permanent unstoppable. As he's just kind of like using Flicker Staff to keep resetting that unstable currents, and he is just keeping that 4-second unstoppable uptime. And he summoned the boss.
Why even put the lives remaining thing up there?
So every time you manage to clear one of these levels, you're going to summon 3 Bloodseekers, who are pretty strong. You're going to have the affixes of
okay, you summon Bloodseekers. You're going
to have to go ahead and clear through.
Okay.
The timer is still ticking, but Rich has got a really good, healthy lead on the timer right now, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. It's just going to be a question of whether or not he gets spiked by something he didn't expect.
So he's built for defense, and he's still just getting kind of trucked.
Your sword at this point, I don't think that should be a problem.
This is a unfavorable spawn.
Yeah, I don't like this spot.
You're in some tight corners here.
I think in every single practice this has happened, but what I'm feeling lucky about is that I don't have a suppressor, which is definitely a nightmare for me in my ball lane.
Okay. Oh, we got a unique.
Yes, I'll pass it back over to you because there's actually some pretty cool stuff.
Isidorus.
To call out over here.
Yeah, okay, so upon finishing your first run through the Abattoir of Zir, you're going to earn the special glyph associated with the seasonal event, which is the Tears of Blood glyph. That you can see here. Now, Rich has already spent some XP on this, upgrading it before, but this is an extraordinarily powerful multiplicative bonus glyph you get to kind of slot in. This has got 200 levels associated with it for you to upgrade through over the course of time. It starts out at the size of a tier 15 normal glyph, normal rare glyph.
Right.
So it is extremely strong right off the bat. So you're gonna be able to use this to kind of help you get through some of the more difficult tiers as you go deeper and deeper into the experience. And there's one other really neat thing about this as well. So this experience, the Tears of Blood glyph itself has like a lot of Paragon glyph XP that you need in order to upgrade it as you continue to like go on through the experience. And one of the things we wanted to do was make sure that
it's gonna be a grind, man.
You can still
it's gonna be a grind.
XP from finishing Abattoir 0 level.
1,000 players
from tier 1
saw 1,000 XP.
From a tier 1, you get 1,000. So if you want to use this as an opportunity,
I mean, it'll probably take Rob like a day and a half to max it out.
For the builds and everything. Here's an opportunity for you to kind of like going quickly, like level up a bunch of those other glyphs that you have. In addition to like not taking too much time away from your Tears of the Blood if you're trying to like keep pace with that. But we think that's like an extra fun little bit. But yeah, Tears of Blood glyph, super powerful for players to be able to engage with. Again, it's only here for the season, and it'll be retired at the end of that season.
Yeah, and like we just saw Rich.
Yeah, you can use it on any glyph.
Turn through a level 1 pretty easily. I mean, struggled a little at the end, but
there was a little struggle. I got a little nervous.
It wasn't too bad. But I know Rich. Like what key or what sigils do you have here?
So I think what I did over there was the sigil 1. I think what we were talking about was trying to make like an engagement moment, basically by having chat almost pick the challenge ahead.
Okay.
So what I've pre-crafted beforehand is a 2, a 6, as well as a 10. Funny enough, I created backups for this because like, hey, I might die. But I think it's just one of those things where I would love to reserve the 10 and beyond levels for a later moment.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
Adam, you had a great idea.
And as a reminder, like tiers for abattoirs here go up to 25.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Do the
there are a
6.
significant amount.
I want
tiers,
to. I want
and
to see
they,
you
of
get
course,
one tapped
go up
by
in
a white
difficulty
mob.
by a pretty like almost an exponential amount as you're going from tier to tier. But be curious. Okay, all right. Like you already asked the chat, and the chat is already going like screaming 10.
Yeah.
So they just want you to die.
Okay, we
which-
said like we're gonna let chat choose 2, 6, or 10. We'll see what they say. I'm like, it's gonna be 10. They're gonna absolutely want to see.
They're gonna want to see 10. So Rich, take us into a tier 10, and let's see how he does. Now, are you gonna adjust builds a little bit
you
here?
You have 4
Well,
potions too. I just want to call it. You have 4.
I mean, a few things here, I think, for the players at home is that obviously you saw that the previous one I was geared up to be a little bit more tanky because the last thing that I want to do is embarrass myself and die on there. But I think what Joe and team can do is also explain like how some of the scaling works as I go up. So I think I'll just go in. I think what I'm trying to balance out now is just try to add a little bit more damage output by sacrificing some of my tankiness. Just because I anticipate that the higher HP is going to be a challenge. And I don't want to lose to the time. And I actually want to see how far I can progress. So let me activate this.
I was like, you went back in without acting.
You know, the nerves. It's the nerves.
Yeah, it's not
to Rich's
upgraded.
Point here,
Like,
I mean,
come
it's not
on, you-
easy to
wait.
play games on stream, right?
No.
Did you see
No,
that?
So this is why we're gonna have him.
He clicked one of his like inventory
narrate
tabs, and there was
full,
an item
Romeo
in one of the
and
tabs
Juliet,
I'd never seen before.
play to us as he's playing.
It looked like a red hunk of
Sure.
like
Color
meat
commentary.
or something.
Full
The fuck was that?
concentration on this.
No, so to Rich's point earlier about how the scaling works. So as we were experimenting with this content, one of the things we discovered pretty quickly is we just didn't want to continue to scale monster damage up, you know, in a really, really significant way as you're kind of going through this content. We really want to focus a lot more on monster health.
Right, so this is
scaling
a
as you go.
10, right?
Because we quickly get to a
But it
point where, like,
doesn't.
any batch
There's
kind
no
of, like, clicks
indication
you
of what
and
level it
basically just,
is,
you know,
like on
completely
your
icing
the
on
thing
your
on the
level
right
at
hand
that point.
side.
And it just makes it a less fun experience overall. So we wanted to make sure it
This
was much
shit's
more about
tanky
like,
as
can you
fuck.
beat that timer? Can you survive the bosses at the end?
Wow.
You know, not as much about like damage gets so high over the course of time that there's no opportunity for different classes to really be able to perform, right?
Yeah, and the Tears of Bloodglyph really is going to increase your damage output.
Yes.
Right, so leveling that up. is
Did
gonna
you actually
really-
have your Tears for Bloodglyph equipped?
Oh, is it equipped?
So I did not, and I think one of the things that I wanted
Well
to
then.
do, I mean, for me, I think as I've been going in and testing it, like I think it's actually been a pretty cool experience to see like how it's been with and without.
Yeah, but there's no
I
way
think
he's
just
gonna meet the timer
Exploring a little bit more into
unless
it as
these
well.
elites give like an
Like,
absolutely
while
ridiculous
my
amount of
Paragon board is
progress.
optimized for what I have here. It's definitely opening up a lot more. Oh, hold on a second. Can you-
Also, you didn't replenish your
No, he
potions
didn't.
before you
I
went
tried
in
to
here.
warn him.
So
It's about- This is for the stream.
mistakes were made.
This is
Li-
for this-
this is for the
live
stream.
mistakes
Oh, I
were
see. You're
made.
trying
is
to
for
give
the
yourself a
street,
disadvantage
right?
for
He just
clicks.
has them turned
That's
off.
This
I
is for the
guess.
stream.
We got more max potions.
Yeah.
That's true.
So
You did that.
Rich did not do himself a few favors here. One, he did not replenish his potions, and then two, he did not equip a Tears for Bloodglyph.
Yeah, you are
because-
falling behind that timer pretty quickly
Yeah,
at this
because
point.
he wanted to be a show off
Yes.
and is not
Yeah.
showing off.
Well, it's interesting to see how valuable. You were talking about this earlier.
Dude,
how
I bet
valuable
Don the Crown is
vampire-
watching this
vampire
right now
powers
and
are
is
in
like
in this content as well.
Yeah.
Really configuring those.
ripping
Yeah,
this
I mean,
dude
once
apart.
if you're permanently unstoppable, like Snake Family is a lot less dangerous to deal with across the board. Like you don't have to deal with that that charging stun. You don't have to
charge
deal with
bite, yeah.
you don't have to deal with the paralyzed. Like there's you have some advantages. I think it's funny that we got snakes randomly twice in a row.
Yeah.
But hey, that's the nature of live gameplay. You know,
And I will
it's
say
not just snakes though. You can see other things in this.
We're
Right,
nearing
yeah,
the
that's a
end,
great point.
by the
Each
way.
time you enter Abattoir of Zir, you're going to have different monsters, different
Yeah, he's got
tile
Blizzard on
sets,
his bar,
different,
but I don't think I've seen him
different
cast
layouts.
it.
And I think the big thing here is that my eye is definitely drawn into the timer.
I mean, I'm trying to look for it, but I
compared to
don't.
how it was in the tier 1. You know, I'm definitely not taking out as many monsters as I need to get the potions, and
and
that
tip-
timer is really hurting my feelings right now.
that and
Everything seems fine
I will
here.
say, like, the normal progression for players will be,
Oh my gosh.
Dude, it literally looked like he
Well,
walked into that on
man,
purpose
that
just to be
ends the
done.
story of Rich
Like, it looked like he literally was like,
Abattoir.
I'm done with this.
I will-
I'm going to
I will
walk
say
into this
that
and die.
The normal progression for players is not to go immediately to a 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Chat deemed that you needed to go to a 10 immediately.
Yeah.
And Rich deemed that he did not need to actually equip his Tears of Blood glyph.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But this takes us to an interesting point. What happens when you die in it?
Yeah, so when
Battle
you die in the video game, you die in the video game. So
There
actually,
you have
you're gonna lose
Meowina.
your run because you have no respawns available when
You
go
looking
through
good.
A Abattoir of Zir run. So you'll have to go back. You'll have to make another key. You know that progress is gonna be lost. So
Yeah.
you'll have to go spend more sigil power.
Yeah, so just a word for warning for like even like a double, like I guess penalty for hardcore players.
hardcore
Like
players,
yeah,
yeah.
lose your character and you
Lose your
you
run.
lose your
you're
lose
right.
your run.
Huge double penalty. Huge double
one
penalty. Yeah,
major
good point.
penalty and one small one. So yeah.
I think I do want to just follow up on the mention earlier what happens at the very end. I think the trying to return back to the adventure, but being
Yeah, this is fun.
surprised by this is something that we wanted to call out as well.
Yeah, so like basically, if the portal's gonna be there while the event is active, but unless you've actually used a sigil to kick it off, you're basically just gonna be able to come to this like kind of broken edifice here, and there's nothing, nowhere else to go.
I'd be curious, like, if you are in here with like a party, can you revive other party members as if they happen to die?
When a player goes down, the run is over.
Okay. Whoa. Okay. There we go. So I know there's
Seems
a few
like
people
not
asking
a lot of
questions, like,
incentive
hey,
to
if I run
team
this
up for
as a
it then.
group, If anyone dies there, it's a done run.
Mm-hmm.
So it is a little punishing, but at the same time, it is end game content. that
Absolutely.
you-
Well, I mean, sure. I mean, so one of the things really interesting about having content like this at the end game is we do want to make sure that there are lots of ways, as you've seen in season
Bro,
2,
you
to,
don't
like,
need
farm up
CC on
the
a
gear
barb.
that
You just
want,
one-tap
especially even get
everything.
your character to be really, really powerful.
Why would I?
But
Why
then
would I
when
CC
you get
something
into
when
the
I could
next
just
tier of
kill it?
content, like, do we want you to continually always get more gear to always replace the gear that you have, right? So the Tears of Blood glyph is an example of us like kind of experimenting with different ideas of progression for players and see how these things feel. Like we want to make sure that there's always more things you want to go try to do, and always more things for you to go push for your character. But how much you have to like reintegrate, aspects of
You would
your-
still have to get your
build every
CC
time you, like,
off
kinda go through
before the
content
mob
here
can
feels
hit
like
you.
we talk about quite a bit.
Yeah.
But one thing I'm really excited about for this is, so Tears of Blood is going to be like really, really powerful. Again, 200 tears, multiplicative damage increases. It continues to scale up as you go. It's very, very strong. It's going to be fun to see players who are able to see how far people can eschew that, like not use the Tears of Blood glyph, and see how far they're able to actually get into the content. So I think
Look,
that's
bro,
that's gonna be
I
very,
don't
very
want to
exciting.
group with your sword.
Yeah, I'm really excited. I'm hoping
Stop trying to
players
sell me on it.
End up, sending us tweets on social or sorry, it's not tweets anymore. X posts.
Yeah, posts and reposts.
on social or posting on Reddit and forums of like how far they can actually progress. It'll be really cool to see.
Now we can try to
where
do
the
some
community
like
kinda
some group
lands,
runs
and
at
where
some point.
Some of our more hardcore players end up landing as well, especially hardcore characters, people that really risk everything to try out this content. So there we go. So that's Abattoir Zir. Abattoir Zir again hits on December 5th. It'll be with our next patch. And and that will be next week. We actually plan on having patch notes available on Diablo4.com tomorrow. So it will be available for people to check out patch notes for that update hitting next week. So thank you again, Rich.
Yeah, thanks, Rich.
Really appreciate it. Thank you for
Thanks for sacrificing
your
yourself.
dead build character for this, which is nearly the same as your live build. I
Yes.
know.
This build I wanted to make as close as I can to in terms of a 1-to-1 representation of what I have on retail. I know for a lot of the people at home, it's important to try to have and see and play with something that's relevant to them. So yeah, just tried to do that. Excited to see everybody online. Let's farm up. Let's do this.
I don't know, man. From
Yeah.
what I'm hearing, your build
your
sucks.
Season journey done. Because that is the requirement for jumping into Abattoir Zir and checking it out. Cool. So I know one thing that we do want to talk about as well that we had mentioned on social, and this is just a quick mention from
Quality
us,
of
and a
life,
quick
quality of
update
life.
from us, and it is around itemization.
Okay,
So
okay.
one thing we do want to show off though is we all have. Well, I'm not zipped up. I'm wearing my.
Really,
Diablo
bro?
4
Is it
bomber
product
here.
placement time?
There we go. But
Doing some extra hand
But
modeling.
yeah, we do. We do have these really.
We have
fancy
these.
little
We have
things.
this itemization
Yeah.
announcement.
You guys
You're
are
gonna get some
numbers.
awesome items
Yeah, look at this. Yeah.
in real life.
It's this is a play on
Damage on
Adam
Tuesdays.
Jackson. He made this
Nice.
wonderful saying before.
Yeah.
Damage on Tuesdays.
Damage on Tuesdays.
Dude, I want a
And-
damage on
yeah.
Tuesdays
Felt
shirt.
appropriate for discussing
we
itemization.
felt like this was an appropriate time to show off.
We were like,
these
we're gonna take.
jackets
Well, what we'll do is
specifically.
we'll take the jackets off while Rich is playing. We won't forget to do that.
Oh, yeah.
we'll-
Well, we were supposed to do that.
We were
Yeah.
supposed to do that to have this be like a
That
better
would've been
bit.
So
plan.
instead,
That would've been a
everyone just got
funnier
to watch us awkwardly take off hoodies and jackets. So, but
I think the people loved it, obviously.
yes, and I do want to give a shout out to Ricky on our art team.
Richie, yeah.
Richie on our art team, who actually ended up making these amazing damage.
Yeah,
on
I love
Tuesday
the
shirts.
graphic design on
Yeah,
this.
it's really
definitely
cool. Little rogue shooting.
Can I go to
for
the
Tuesday.
Blizzard store and get one?
But itemization. I know we wanted to talk really quickly about that, and Joe.
Yeah. Okay. So there's a lot to talk about. At BlizzCon, Mr. Shelley himself got a chance to kind of talk about a few things that we've got coming. We have going on. We talked about some of the problems that we see with itemization out there today. You know, I think just to kind of reiterate some of those points. As players are going through the experience, you know, it's challenging the amount of mental bandwidth you have to use to process all of the items that you're collecting. It's difficult to find upgrades because there's a really low chance for you to get like a perfect rare roll. And generally in ARPGs, it's okay for it to be a low chance for the roll to be perfect, but there's such a high degree of variability in items right now as they stand, where it's like usually it's like, okay, well, this item is 80% of what I want it to be, and that can feel okay to find that pretty regularly, but that could be kind of hard to find right now in Diablo 4, right? And feels almost virtually impossible.
Yeah, because there's too many
200
stats
pairs
that
of
are
gloves
just
to not find a
like
perfect pair of gloves,
pointless.
you know, for your,
Or
for
not
your
pointless,
class.
but it's just like
You know, there's a lot of things that
convoluted,
contribute to this. You know,
right?
there's the number of different fixes that we have. There is the fact that we don't have a lot of things in place that say like you can't have like multiple skill ranks, you know, on an item. Like right now we allow you to have like, you know, 3 different plus core skill ranks on an item occasionally, and that doesn't really serve anybody. So one of the things we want to think about a lot as we're looking towards 2024, because like we're, you know, it's December, we're looking back at, you know, a year of talking together and
D4
you know, trying to
good.
paint a picture of like what we want moving forward for us. You know, we want.
And there's a damage on Tuesdays shirt
for solving these kinds of problems. We also see that there's not enough like runway with items either. Like there's a lot more they could be doing for the player when they drop for players. So one of the things we want to think about more as we get into 2024 is having items really be kind of like the start of a journey. So when something drops for you as a player, we want that to be like cool. You want to be able to get this and say, this is awesome. I can't wait to do X, Y, and Z to this and make it like really, really great, right? Like this is the perfect thing that I need for my build. And to feel that you've got more chances like to modify and customize that and really incorporate that into what you want for your particular play style. That's important for like player expression, for build making. It does a lot for just making the game more exciting versus like every single time you're looking for an upgrade.
Yeah,
it's
they need more
only
crafting.
whatever
Yeah.
immediately drops in the ground, and I kind of have to make a decision based on that. We want to go a lot further than that, I think, in the future for players. Now, you know, these are the sorts of things I'm talking about are pretty big, right? Like in season 2, we made changes to the resistance system. We made changes like, you know, vulnerable damage being multiplied, making that additive. I think people that saw, like we made a huge number of changes to the way that stats work and skills and a bunch of other stuff, right? Huge number of changes. And the reason why we did so much of it at once was because many of these things were very interconnected. And trying to improve these systems by doing like one small portion of it can actually make everything worse. Because this is now like almost like a little island of a different idea that's floating out and not integrated properly into everything else in the game, right? So as we think about the sorts of itemization changes we're looking to make, the reward changes we want to make things more exciting for players to chase, and really, again, if Diablo is a game about killing monsters and getting loot, then killing monsters feels pretty good right now. I think that getting loot has places where we can make improvements. You know, we need to make sure that's holding up its end of the bargain, right? But to make the sorts of changes that we're talking about, there's basically a number of other things that are going to need to be adjusted at the same time. So we have plans for a really, really big update for itemization that we want to be able to produce.
Why don't we just get
It's
rid
not
of
coming
all
in
the
season 3,
like,
we're looking at season 4.
like
where we're able to
unironically,
target
all
a
of
lot
the
these
stuff that is
changes to
very
come out
close to
in the
damage on
maps.
Tuesdays? Why don't we just
So
get
in
rid of
season 3,
every
which we're not talking about today,
like stat that's
season 3
like
today. But there's
fucking
still cool
meme?
stuff that we have coming up. Which we'll talk. I guess we'll talk. Yeah, sure. Right. We're about to talk like a tiny bit about season 3. There's still lots of great
Like
feedback
cooldown
we're
of storm
getting, from players about their
skills.
experience playing season 3 right now.
Yeah.
Critical
Season
strike
16.
damage of earth
Yeah, well,
skills.
sorry, yes. Feedback from season 2 that we want to be able to try to to incorporate into season 3.
Yeah, well, and one of the things that we've seen with season 2, right?
Extra
is,
overpowered
this was
damage after swapping
you were talking about
weapons.
how we made a lot of changes to itemization. We made a lot of changes to builds.
Yeah.
There were some things that got less powerful, but we really sort of I think we did a great job delivering on some of the stuff we talked about back in season 1 in terms of making when we make changes to stats or classes or itemization, that we make sure that we're adding lots of new cool stuff. And I think we plan to continue to do that with season 3, right? So I think we've talked. I've said on social, like, hey, we're not gonna nerf your builds here throughout season 2. We were just playing Ball Lightning, right?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Just live here, and we think that's really important because we built Avatar of Zir based on the balance of the game as it stands in season 2. But then as you get into season 2, you can season 3. No one's going to say any of the right season numbers today. But as you get into season 3, you can expect to see some of those balance changes, kind of like what we saw in season 2, right?
That's right. So we'll have changes along those lines. We'll be able to talk about those as we get a little bit closer to the season 3 release date. And there's a bunch of other changes we're making in season.
Well, there's the one thing about, I know you were talking about with itemization. We're prepping a lot of changes, and we've actually we have talked to at least a group of Diablo partners, content creators already about some of the itemization changes that are going to be coming in season 4.
That's right.
So they have actually. There are people aware.
In
of
season
some of
4 or in
details
season
and changes
3?
that we're actually offering. So, and
He
we're
just
doing
said
that
season
mostly
4.
for we wanted to get some feedback from and bounce like some ideas that we actually had. So we're really looking forward to actually going through all of that and making sure and refining it a little bit before we actually put it out in front of everyone. And so there will be more news about itemization as we go through season 3 and into season 4. Obviously, with the
I guess
the big
not till
changes that are
season
gonna be
4.
coming. But we have been actually talking with a select group of people, with our Diablo partners, our content creators, specifically on that. So, and I wanted to make sure like people weren't thinking we're working within like a box or something like that from that end.
Yeah, like Joe said at BlizzCon, like if end game content is one of our
So
highest
basically, they're
priorities,
talking
itemization
to
is our
certain
highest priority,
streamers.
right? Like we're actively working on these
Got it.
things. It's just they take time because they're expansive, and it's gonna be better for the game bringing these things together into one big release. We're very, very excited about it. It was really fun talking to content creators about some of these plans and getting some of that initial feedback. So that's cool. But like we're in motion. We're working through these things right now. So, but again, that's not all, right? Like, as we look towards season 3 and talk about like the sorts of things that players are having some difficulties with right now, there's a couple things that got brought up. First is Forgotten Souls.
Yes.
Yeah, it's obviously we see the players are having a tougher time getting Forgotten Souls in Diablo 4 and season 2, relative to other points in time. One of the things that we're doing based upon
I haven't had
that
any issues
feedback
with
and
Forgotten
feedback
Souls
about Helltide
at all.
is actually increasing the Helltide uptime. So basically, Helltide's going to be up every hour for about 55 minutes. It's going to be like a 5-minute break, and then it's going to come back up again. You don't have to run through again. And it's going to make it a lot easier for you to firm those Forgotten Souls up when you're looking for them.
Yeah,
It's always Helltide time, baby.
Harvest, and it's something we wanted to bring over to Helltide.
Bro, like,
more lessons
I already
from-
have
from
way more
Harvest,
shards than I do eggs.
that we can incorporate.
That's gonna
This
make
was
it
one thing we
even
thought was really
worse,
important to
man.
get in for season 3.
But
Yeah, and
that's
this is
gonna
just
make
part
it
of,
even
like, the
worse.
things we learn through seasons that players really enjoy. And
I need more eggs. Give me more eggs.
There's even like the idea that from season 1.
I
to season
have
2,
stopped doing them
we
on
brought the, like, the
cooldown.
powers kind of back in those unique rings that we.
I think I've done maybe like 2
Helltides
Helltides in the past 3 days.
A lot about players' expectations of like what they're they're looking for when it comes to like things like hell time.
I've been trying to do
it's just some of these
whispers.
learnings that we continuously apply.
Give me
to
more
things
whispers.
really
Give me more stuff for
and I wanna
doing
talk
whispers.
about another thing that we saw in season 2,
Please.
that I sort of been talking about is the 925 problem.
Oh, sure.
Basically, when you first get access to World Tier 4, you can start getting the highest eye power loot immediately from world bosses, and from Duriel if someone carries you through Duriel, and that like Duriel totally makes sense. It's
I'll
a super
complain
hard
about whatever I
counter.
want.
It's a farming counter, right? It's level 100. The world bosses probably shouldn't have a guaranteed chance to drop 925 now because we hate having players have good loot.
Why
just
not?
because, when I was playing through it, I was, 72, and all my gear was 925 at that
Sure,
point. And
yeah.
I felt like, where am I going to go from here? Now, it wasn't all, I had a bunch of garbage affixes, right, like Joe was talking about. But,
Yeah.
but there's another part of this problem, which is that as you get up toward close to 100 and reach 100, it feels like there isn't enough variety in places where you can get 925 gear reliably. Like it can drop from Varshan, but it's a very
I'll
small
say that
chance.
like
It can drop from
having
something
gear
beastly.
sitting in my stash waiting
And so
for
it
my
feels
druid
like,
to hit 80
things like turning in
felt really
opals,
good
turning in
because as soon as I
whispers,
hit
doing some of
80,
those other ladder
I threw all that
bosses,
shit on, and it was a huge
and
power
even in
spike,
even,
and my character felt
in some cases, some
like
of the Nightmare
really,
Dungeon
really
content,
good.
Yep.
It
So
feels,
farming
it
up
can
stuff
feel
on
like,
another
well,
character to
I
pass
guess I'm
down
just
to
supposed
your
do
alts.
Duriel and maybe do the world bosses when they come up.
Yeah, it's
is
not consistent
enjoyable.
enough from other sources that aren't Duriel and aren't the world bosses.
Yeah.
So we love that you want to go farm Duriel for urban uniques and for unique items. We like the idea that you want to go hit world boss when it's up, and that's fun. But it doesn't feel good if those are the only two ways for you to really like adequately find this kind of these kinds of rewards. So there's gonna be a balance.
Yeah, there needs to be more
evaluating that, make sure that it
925
feels
loot
like it's a
dropping
little
out
easier
of
to find
like nightmare
925s
dungeons and
in
shit.
other top eye power items, in other content channels.
Like running a nightmare dungeon 100 and getting
so we
gear that's
have,
not even
some
900
changes
item
coming
power.
with season 3
feels
to
like
based off of
ass.
feedback that we've gotten from players with season 2, things around Helltide, things around the 925, the eye level 925 items specifically. So, but yeah, great to hear. Lots of changes coming up, and of course, season 4 we have some big changes for itemization that are along the road. So, I know we want to jump into Q&A now. Because
So we're not
this is
getting
an
an actual like
opportunity for
major
people in
itemization
chat to
overhaul
kind
until
of jump
season
in and
4.
ask their
I'm so
questions.
sorry, Adam, for like ruining this transition. So I guess one last thing on itemization. So part of all of this is trying to find more ways to. What's this?
I love the lower third.
Oh,
This
we
is
went
like
back?
no. Back to itemization.
So,
As it should be.
okay,
As
yeah.
it should be.
So part of all of this is trying to find more ways to communicate, different ways to communicate the like what our intentions are, what our plans are. Try and check them against like the views of the community. We don't want to overpromise, underdeliver.
Yeah, because it's also going to feel really fucking bad
We're going through this.
when you
we're-
start
we're
doing
just gonna try to,
Abattoir
like,
of Zero
provide as much
rifts
detail
or
as we can
keys,
as
whatever
we
you want to
go.
call them.
We don't. This
And
is
the
about trying
items
to
you
create
get
a
as the
random
reward
build.
at the
That's not
end aren't
point.
even
We wanna
900
manage
item power.
expectations and also make sure that we're really, really happy with what we have, so that when we deliver to players to be excited about it. So when we're ready to talk more about these things leading into season 4, we're gonna make sure that we do a whole stream about these changes.
Yeah, it's more about getting it right than keeping it secret.
That's
It's not about.
Yeah.
It's not about. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly, and then just goes back to like why we've already started talking to like even just some of our Diablo partners, our content creators, a little bit about it, just to make sure that we're not working within a box where we're trying to get this right and show it to everyone. So, all right, so Q&A. This again, I'll do my preamble again. This is a good opportunity for people in Twitch chat to be able to drop in questions. I know chat's moving quickly, but we have our community team is actually in there. Like props to Lisa Casey in there right now and polling specific questions for Q&A. I'm watching Rich. By the way, no one sees this. We have a whiteboard in here. Rich is like, oh, Midwinter Blight. This is a question that a lot of people have been asking. It ends on January 2nd. Right. So people who are asking in chat, Midwinter Blight goes through January 2nd, so everyone is aware of that. And then Abattoir Zero actually goes nearly to the end of the season.
That's right.
So players can check out Abattoir Zero almost all the way through the end of season 2. Good reminders on these end dates. I will say that there's a question, before we jump into questions from chat, There was a question that we've been getting a lot online from console players, specifically related to gold trading, that I do want to actually address as well.
Oh yeah.
People have sent me videos, and I totally understand. It has become very, very tedious to actually trade gold, and since gold accumulation has actually grown within Season 2, it's become very tedious as a console player to trade gold using the UI and the user interface within the game.
There's been some gold inflation in Season 2.
Exactly.
Oh no!
And I know they have to like manually
the
scroll
poor
their
console
gold, and
players.
it can be a little difficult.
Won't
I will say that it
anybody
is being
think of the
addressed,
console
and
players?
the team is working on a fix for that. We're hoping that will be in for Season 3.
Yep.
So
Great.
players on console
Season
will get a
3,
little bit
console
more,
players can trade gold.
I guess of a relief during that specific point.
Yeah, it'd be a lot easier to put in, 100 million, a billion gold, whatever you want to put it.
Exactly. So I will jump into questions here. We have Pow Warpig. Why is Abattoir of Zir considered a seasonal event and not normal content?
Yeah, because we want it to go away at the end of the season. That's why. So because I was kind of talking a little bit earlier, but like
Makes
the
sense.
Abattoir of Zir is a piece of content. We're putting it out there, and we really want to see how players interact with it. We want to see what people like about it, what they don't like about it. We want to be able to take that feedback and incorporate that into more things that we do.
Yeah.
We are going to be looking for more like we say things like seasonal and evergreen. Now we are looking for more evergreen pieces of end game content for players to engage with, to just kind of continue to level up the base Diablo 4 experience, particularly in that World Tier 4 environment. But we want to be able to do that in a way that is that is intentional, right? So
yeah. I think you were saying earlier we want to make more content like this, but with Abattoir of Zir, this is the first of its kind. This is the first time we've done something like this.
Yeah.
And so I think we're going to learn some stuff from it.
Yeah, we intend to learn some stuff from it.
Question from Breezy Seashore regarding Abattoir Zir. Will we get any sigils or sigil powder from Abattoir Zir dungeons?
Abattoir of Zir.
Yeah, the
runs
Abattoir of
to
Zir stuff is
sigil
to
at the
give
end.
people
You don't
that
get
have
sigil drops
like
as part of the Abattoir of Zir runs.
grinded the season
All right,
already,
and then,
like at the
I guess this
pinnacle
is
of their
kind of similar
character, something to do.
A question that you guys, the first question, which is from Mr. Beefcakes Gaming, saying, are we getting some sort of variation of this mode in future seasons? Are there like more big plans related to
That's like
end game beyond Abattoir of Zir for D4?
Yeah, I mean, in Season 3...
The answer is if people respond positively to it, then yes.
The Gauntlet and the leaderboard systems and trials.
There's the answer.
It's like we're going to have some endgame content there. We are looking at more content just like this.
Yeah.
And we will be releasing it as well. During the course, we're talking about some ideas potentially for Season 3. We're talking about things we want to do in Season 4. So we are working through all of that right now. But yes, you will see more content like this in the future.
Yeah, and jump into Abattoir next week and play it and tell us about it.
Yeah.
Like, if you love it, then tell us, and we're going to make more of that.
I love it.
Question from Remo's. This is where I
It's
struggle.
just like a year of this.
Yeah,
Of
it's just
Adam
a
saying
year
a
of
name
these-
with an
Y'all
upward
just need to
inflection
have
at the end of
easier
the name.
Twitch names. Like mine's Pez Radar. It's like so simple. Come on,
Not
everyone.
everybody can be as clever as you with Pez Radar.
I know, so clever. I took a popular candy and mixed it in with the word radar, everyone. So Rima says, any news on a loot filter? Any plans for that? Things like that? This is a
They're like,
popular
"Yay, this
we tend
question
to get
again."
Quite often, so.
Great.
Yeah. I'm sorry. What was that?
Yeah, well, you can answer too. I think we answered. We had a question like this at BlizzCon.
Yes.
And what I said, which continues to be true, is that we think that being able to filter your loot efficiently is a baseline part that should be part of all ARPGs, including Diablo 4. Some of the changes that we're planning coming up for itemization in Season 4, I think will help with that. We're going to look at those and look at the in the context of a loot filter as well. Like we're certainly not against adding a loot filter, and it's something that we're looking at alongside the changes that we're making. But the changes to itemization are so significant that if we added a loot filter today, it wouldn't work after we change.
Just make all the make it so the affixes on your
there's
gear
significant
aren't so
changes.
fucking convoluted. And then your
I call that,
brain
like,
can
some
be the
problems-
loot
big problem
filter.
that we see right now in
Right.
itemization, largely, a lot of it comes down to being able to parse all
And then
this loot.
players'
like,
brains can
and
become
then,
the
like,
loot
general sense of,
filter.
like, some affixes are just for nobody. Like, they're not really good for anybody. Nobody really wants try and buff duration.
No.
You know, nobody really wants, you know, it's not. I shouldn't say no one really wants 3 or 4 resists on an item, but like there are some people that want 3 or 4 resists on an item. We're probably not going to do a lot of that in the future. You know, there's more things we're doing to make it just easier to parse item to item. You know, the sorts of improvements and benefits and make it more exciting for players.
Question from It's Doffy. Are there plans for more butcher-style bosses like Bloodseekers? Would love more types of these encounters, especially maybe during.
Yeah, dude, I
world
want to get one of
bosses.
these shirts.
That'd be crazy.
I hope they put some on sale.
Having like 4 butchers spawn in the middle of a world boss, that'd be fun.
It's just a different kind of world boss at that point.
Exactly. But yeah, any plans for, like, I guess that it's that surprise type of element with enemies that come in.
Yeah, we love that the gameplay that we're getting from Bloodseekers, like dropping into dungeons occasionally. I think you see even just like the fights at the end of the Abattoir of Zir runs are already pretty fun because you don't really know what combination of affixes and Bloodseeker classes you're going to get when you kind of wrap things up. Looking for more interruption, disruptive content like that, you know, that kind of creates this these bolts of excitement when you're going through like a content piece that you think you might already know. I think is really cool.
Yeah, so you mentioned world bosses, and I was killing Treasure Beast last week. And when you stagger Treasure Beast, you can actually get one of those little treasure goblins that pops out.
True.
But his loot isn't very good, so we're going to fix that.
Who actually fights that world boss long enough still to stagger it?
But Joe had that experience and wants to let everyone know.
I mean, who fights it long enough for that to happen?
I got 1 rawhide and 300 gold.
I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and
Treasure Beast.
A lot of people are going like, Treasure Beast, what's that? That we tend to use more internal names prior to when we actually develop real names.
The world boss with the big chest full of gold.
Exactly. So ignore our internal.
Come on, Joe.
Hey guys.
That was his internal.
Yeah,
or utilize it and confuse everyone like we did.
Exactly. So you guys, I know that we've gotten questions about, we still get questions. We're still getting questions because people didn't see the beginning of the stream. We do want to confirm that we did talk about and address the questions we've been seeing a lot in the community related to pay for power that have been swirling around. People talking about, are you guys planning on adding pay for power in Diablo 4? And I know that we talked about it in the beginning. We have confirmed that we are not planning on adding pay for power in Diablo 4. So I just want to reiterate that now because there's a lot of people who probably missed the beginning of the stream. I do want to just readdress that there are no plans for that.
Again, we have no plans to add pay for power to Diablo 4.
Yes, everyone who's sending me posts on X.
On X.
I'm never gonna stop. I'm never gonna stop making jokes about this. I love that. I love it so much. And everyone who keeps giving me sending me posts on X, like we get it. You know, we still do not. The thing is, it's still true. There's no plans to sell power in Diablo 4.
Yeah. Cool. Question related to actually color palettes because we've been seeing a lot of customization and everything. This is from Comfortably Dumb. When are we getting more color palettes for transmogs? Also, pink is a color. They want to make sure people are aware that pink is a color and they would like pink.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, we don't get enough feedback on this, I think. I think that there's a lot of cool ways to customize your pigments in the wardrobe, and that
pink is a color, guys. Respect it.
Of color palettes and other things that you could potentially color too.
Awesome. Skulm TV asks, any plans to rework some skills or abilities? Like the Necromancer could really use some movement speed or skill abilities to help out with some of their movement issues that they're having right now.
Dude, I'm so sick of hearing Necros being like, bro, give me movement speed, give me movement speed. Shut up. This gets asked like every fucking time, man.
These sorts of adjustments over time. There's not an immediate plan in terms of in season 3 we're going to do X. Like we don't have that. But we are trying to make sure that as we continue to release new seasons, make more unique items, make more legendary powers, that we're thinking about the ways that players can use them to kind of augment and help parts of their class. Like we hear very frequently Sork has a really tough time dropping vulnerable on creatures, so everybody runs Frost Nova. Like we understand. There's things we have plans for, but addressing these kinds of concerns that players have across the board over the course of time. but we're also always looking for opportunities within itemization to also, buffet these classes and give them some things, these extra support they need.
Yeah.
I'm going to take one last question here before we kind of close it out. This is BG Fan Germany. Will we ever be able to play the campaign on a higher difficulty?
Yeah, a couple people have asked for this. I think this is an interesting idea. The campaign is something that sort of each time you play narrative content like
like to hear you
this,
talk about colors.
you kind of get diminishing returns on how exciting it is, because some of it is based on
Give me more colors. Make my
surprise.
necro move faster. Uh-oh. Oh, no. Oh, no. What happened?
But it also could be cool to play the campaign again on higher difficulties. Like,
I
we want
didn't
to have
watch
more
any
ways
of
for
the
players
Junes.
to play the game. Yeah.
And I will call this out. Davey B mentions Diablo ebooks with Joe Pipora. Reading when?
Yeah.
Joe.
Let me,
Narrator Joe Pipora.
I'll work with my agent, and we'll figure out when I can start doing some voice work on the
there
side.
we go. Thanks, Davey
You know
B.
what? I appreciate that people like to hear the sound of my voice as much as I like the sound of my voice. So that's
All
great.
right. Well, before we wrap up, I know, Mr. Joe Shelley, you would like to say a few words to the Diablo community as we wrap up our final stream here for 2023 for Diablo 4.
Hit us with some words of wisdom, Sleepy Joe.
Do you have any parting words?
Yeah, I do. Let me get my hat.
Out.
Got this hat specifically for this.
Nice. He is Sleepy Joe.
Now I feel more.
They're embracing the
more in Holy
memes.
Spirit.
The fact that you own this hat is just very interesting to me.
But yeah, like we said at the beginning, it's been a pretty exciting year, right? Like, we went from testing the game, doing beta tests, doing open beta, I remember getting my Shava horn and wearing it on my mount everywhere. I still wear it when I show up to World Boss. So
I still wear
everyone
mine.
can know.
You gotta brag. You gotta be
Yeah.
like, as part of that group. That
I use
exclusive
mine
group.
too.
Getting
Follow
my,
me.
my,
Subtle flex,
Wolf Pup from participating in the beta. All the changes we were able to make.
Thank you for
as
the
a
follow.
consequence of us testing in the beta, playing through the campaign, right? Getting to really have Mephisto as a huge complex character for the first time in a Diablo game. Finding out what happens with Lilith, and getting to meet all the characters along the way, right? Bring the fish back to that town in Skazglen.
The major beats.
Hey, this.
Exactly.
Look, there's one quest designer who's like, I made those.
It's a fun quest.
No, but
I'll carry your
it was
Varshan when I'm ready.
The campaign in Diablo 4.
They're wrapping this up. You
We're
can
really
wait.
proud of the work that we did there. It was really cool for players to experience that and share in it, and for people who pick up the game now to check it out. Of course, we launched Season 1, and we got tons of feedback on Season 1. I think we learned a lot from that.
We did.
It was a real learning experience for us.
Yeah, I bet.
Those
I
of
bet
you
you
who
guys
have been
learned
with
a
us for
lot.
while, I'm sure had an opportunity to give us a lot of that feedback. But one of the things that I want to point out here is that it's incredibly valuable to us to have players who are passionate about the game, because that's how we get the opportunity to make changes to it, right? Like, when you have a game that no one cares about, you just don't get any feedback about how it can be better. And one of the reasons we've been able to do all the things we've been able to do with changes in Season 2 and all the stuff we've been talking about here today and things that are upcoming for the game is because of all of your feedback. So please continue to give us feedback about all the things that you don't like in the game and all the things you like in the game. We love to hear it, really.
Can I say one thing? I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you can.
So it's funny.
Where's
Whenever
your hat?
I don't have a hat. I'm so sorry. This is Joe signed up. One thing. Like, I do get asked this quite a bit. Like, how do you deal with all of this feedback? Sometimes it's like really, really direct. And the way that I sort of think about it is, like, whenever someone sends me a message about Diablo 4, or we're reading a community post, or watching a video, whatever it is that we're doing, at any given time, even when people are like angry or disappointed, like everybody ultimately, I think there's one kind of like truism here, and that everybody wants Diablo 4 to be good.
Yeah.
They went and played the game hoping for a specific kind of experience, and they want that. So even when people are like pretty, pointed in the ways they're talking about things they feel, it's because they're passionate about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just kind of undergirding your point.
Yeah. I think I can't say it enough.
Everybody other than the Blizzard haters.
Blood Harvest, right? Getting to do Blood Harvest in season 2, getting six to 8 people together, overloading the zone to zone cap so you can bring 150 lures together,
Sure.
farming that, getting so many legendaries that you have to stash them in your stash tab and then run portal back so everybody doesn't leave you behind. Getting Farm Durio, right? Linking your mats to make sure that you don't have that one person who shows up for the first couple parts of the rotation and then mysteriously vanishes without contributing. Getting to bring holiday events like Midwinter Blight. Like, we're really excited to be able to, we're all going to go away for the holidays. That's why I've got my hat here. And it's cool that when we go away for the holidays, we're doing it with a whole bunch of awesome content, new content for folks to play in Diablo 4. And it was cool to see some of the Steam getting nominated for a couple of awards in a couple of places, some player choice awards. I think players can still vote for that. So we would love it if you're having fun, if you nominated us for that. And I think this is our first year of this. It's been a long year and an exciting year, and we're really excited for next year and for the future and for season 3 and all the stuff we're bringing there, and itemization stuff coming, and the expansion that we announced at
Vessel of
BlizzCon.
Hatred,
We've got so much stuff to bring to Diablo 4, and so we hope you'll join us for that.
Yeah, so thank you guys again. Thanks to the Diablo community.
I feel
of
like
course,
as long
tuning in
as they just keep
through all these campfire
having
chats, all our
seasons that
developer
are
update live
as
streams,
good
we
or
have a lot
better
more
than
planned for
season
next
2,
year. Our next
then we'll be in a good spot.
Stream is actually going to be live from Albany, New York. Yeah, we're going to Albany. We actually we have of course locations with multiple teams here working on Diablo 4, and we have a studio up in Albany that will be ready for season 3 for a reveal. So we'll have a developer update live stream then, and we're looking forward to going live from there and checking out season 3 and revealing more information about it next time you guys see us on stream. Before we do head off, of course, we want to remind people about some other Diablo activities that are also going on during the holiday season. And we have, like, D2R, we are bringing back the 22 Nights of Terror that was introduced last year, so players will be able to actually experience that. D3, Season 30 PTR, notes go live tomorrow for that. So people will be able to see some of the balance changes that are coming in Season 34.
They're doing another season of D3?
Information about when that PTR is actually going to start.
Jesus.
And of course, Darkening of Tristram, which is a very popular event that happens every single New Year, will be happening for D3 again, so players can actually partake in that. And for Diablo Immortal, we have a huge update. It's actually probably our largest update since the Blood Knight, which is the Splinter Souls update, which will be coming on December 14th. So lots of Diablo activities throughout the holiday.
Get your credit cards ready,
again,
guys.
Thank you to the whole entire Diablo community on behalf of the Diablo dev teams here. We're looking forward to our holiday break, and we're hoping you guys enjoy your holiday break with Diablo. So thanks again. We'll see you soon.
Bye, guys. So yeah, not a whole lot revealed there, unfortunately. But at least now we kind of know, I guess, how difficult Abattoir is going to be. I don't know. But yeah, overall, not a whole lot. Not a whole lot.